My name is Brandon. I am here with Ryan and Sean, and we're chilling on a Saturday at cool, crisp, probably under 0 degrees at CaptainCon, and we're hanging out.
On a Saturday. Brian, what do you think about that? This is the intro to our video for CaptainCon, so you're in it?
I love it. All right, welcome to Warjack's Games Club podcast, episode 54. Your hosts here, Brandon and Sean, and we are here with Alberto for GlitchyBit Studios. Going to talk about some CaptainCon.
We did go to a CaptainCon.
Yes.
We're hanging out on a Sunday.
It is a Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
I miss CaptainCon. I want to go back.
It feels like it was like 3 months ago.
Doesn't it feel like a long time ago at
like
this
2
point?
weeks ago.
Yeah.
I lost some of it, though, like a few hours of it.
Like your ruler?
I did lose my tape measure, but I lost Saturday night.
That you did.
At CaptainCon.
Accurate.
Was it Friday we played Riot Quest? Was that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Which Friday was, or Riot Quest was really good. I never got.
Game's underrated. Game is underrated.
It really helps when someone sets up like every painted like miniature and has all these sweet mats and stuff. But it was actually a really fun game.
I should have played. Like I watched random 40k instead of playing with you guys.
It was a good game. I didn't know I was that close to winning until I was like, "How do we win?" And someone's like, "We just lost." So.
Feels bad.
It's a lot more fun with 4 players because there's just tons of stuff going on. But
Makes sense.
The board game Kickstarter didn't do so well. I'm hoping they didn't forget about it because that was probably the worst part about the game was I liked the fact that all the models were just like War Machine models because painting is way more important to me than anything else. And I think if they were just board game plastic, I wouldn't have been as pumped to paint everything. But when a starter set, which is only 5 models, which is barely enough for one person to place like $50, it's tough to try to convince other people to play. But
we played with 6, right? Each.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 24 models for 4 people to play.
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, you can't. It's War Machine rules within your like army list, so you can't repeat the same characters.
But we can all 4 have the same character.
Yeah, and I think the board game version was going to have like
the
12.
Same 10.
Yeah, 10, 4 copies of 10 different characters. Yeah. But you only have 4 in play at one time, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was actually just really solid. Like I guess the point is you're trying to get to 7 points or coins or.
Yeah, 7 VPs,
and the mechanics were so cool that you start with essentially 6 actions for your whole squad for a round, which are represented by the white dice that you have. And if you want to spend 6 actions on one I think you can only attack once. Or no, you can keep it. You can only attack.
You can only do one action once, but you can boost as many times as you want for one roll.
Yeah, so you could boost 4 dice, right, or 5 dice into an attack.
Yeah,
right?
And then that 6 dice actually goes in the attack too. So I've done that before to end games. There's been games where like me and someone else are both at 6, and I'm like, okay, I can move once, attack, and then put the rest of the dice in there, and I can't play anymore if I don't win. But that last like Hail Mary.
Yeah, very good game. I hope they redo the board game Kickstarter.
That was your biggest critique the whole time, was that like you wish they just would have launched it to begin with, like as like a board game, like the whole kit caboodle together. Like it would have been much easier to pick up and like actually try. Like the way it has been, like we've never played. I've never had interest in playing. Like it's too like random. Like there's too much stuff to get in. It's great when someone shows up with all the stuff, all the mats, like everything, like ready to play. Then like great. But I do think they should probably just release it to come like that. That'd be pretty dope.
And like the bad thing is, I've collected. I think I even bought the original box too, and so I've probably collected almost every Riot Quest model. But where are the cards at this point?
You know the best part? You know the one model I kept. Well, I still have Infernals and Cephalix, but the one model I kept outside of that from War Machine was my Boom Howler that I painted. 'Cause I think it's like my favorite like model that I painted myself. Was that I didn't
two or three?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it until like I didn't keep it for that reason, but like obviously he's in Riot Quest, so like I technically have a painted Riot Quest model if I ever get it. Off to a
Alberto
good start.
He played with Boom Howler, I think, or did I
good?
play Boom Howler? I had Boom Howler. Yeah, he was good. He was awesome.
He's good.
I want to say I gave him this equipment too, where I could, if I charged, I added dice, like extra dice and extra damage, and he can attack from like multiple spaces away or something. He was really good.
Sounds like
I think you gave him the extending. There's a piece of equipment that's like telescopic blades. It comes with James, the Convergence Iron Maiden, but it makes your ranged attacks go like 2 or 3 spaces, something like that.
It was great, but game was great. If you have a chance to play it, you should play it. If the Kickstarter ever comes back out, you should back it. In my opinion, it was a lot of
don't
fun.
sleep on it. I know it's a point of contention amongst War Machine players, and like I get it to a certain extent. There are plenty of models that I like. You would never be able to tell if they were Riot Quest or not, right? Like Boom Howler 2 and 3. They look like regular War Machine models. Like no one would bat an eye. And then there are some where they kind of ride the line a little bit. Like Gurglepox, the Necrotech that's riding the Death Ripper.
Right.
Like, he's kind of in between. Like he's a little tongue in cheek. And then
I feel like most of them are decent though. No.
Yeah, I think I think there's more.
Chev, like
Lilith
Howler, like Lilith looks fine. Like
I mean, I get it with Lilith and Mechanic Shredder because they don't really fit their faction. But I think there was a lot of aesthetically speaking. I think the backlash was a little unwarranted. Rules wise, that's a different story. They were very unabashed. You know that Boomy 3 only comes in the starter set, and he was called the Trollblood Archon for a reason. That model was insane before the dynamic update.
You could wreck him, right?
No.
Can you requisition Boom?
He's like 8 points. I don't
I think
you
could originally before they put the cap on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you could wreck him. It was wild.
Yeah, that's really good then.
Yeah, and then I can't even remember what he did pre-update, but I remember playing against it once. He just took out like half an army, and I was like, "Cool, that's just butcher."
I mean, even post-update is countercharge, Thresher, knockdown on hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think pre-update he could attack. He could Thresher multiple times or something like that, I forget what it was, but it was dumb.
Yeah.
So
that was Hunger for its philosophy, was start up here, and then if people complain, bring it down a little bit.
I mean, as a company, it's a decent thing anyway, right? Like, you're going to sell the model.
It sells models.
But you're going to sell it when it's good and then nerf it.
Yeah, it's kind of GW-ish. Right. Whatever.
So for CaptainCon, we started Thursday and kind of got there and didn't do anything. Well, I don't know what I expected, right? Like they were setting the hall up on Thursday.
Yeah.
But Friday I did Masters Heat 1, and they put the 2 heats, like we had 20 people, so they split us into 2 10-man heats. And then Sean did not. You hung out and watched my games, right?
Yeah, I watched the War Machine all day Friday.
It's Storm Legion. Are they? Yeah. Our Storm Legion solid? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I had plenty to say while we were there. Like, I think a lot of the games were. Yeah, I had that opinion before we went, which was part of like I haven't quit War Machine, but like I didn't play War Machine at CaptainCon. I just don't think the game's in the best spot. Like currently, like obviously, like it's brand new, so you have stuff that's like not even out yet. There's not a stuff that's out. All the new stuff, the Mark IV armies, I think are just so much better than the Mark III armies. Maybe outside there's a couple. Like I know Corey's gonna argue that point, and like he went LVO with Crix. Like I think there's some stuff that's good. they can certainly compete. But like as a whole, if you bring just a random general army from Mark III, like it's not on the same playing field as the new stuff.
And even if you want to play Mark IV right now, like you have 2 factions to pick from.
Right.
And there's 1 army box, and you only have 1 caster unless you bought the Gen Con boxes. So,
right.
Someone at the con bought 2 Signar boxes, and then got their hands on a Gen Con box from somebody, put it together on Saturday night, and managed to play with it on Sunday. But yeah, it's like we're. I don't blame anyone for taking 2023 off. Like hopefully by this time next year we should have at least 6 factions, maybe 7 by this time, right? We'll have multiple boxes for every army. We'll have options, and then for the Mark III stuff, there'll be the second army if we're playing Prime, and if we're playing Unlimited, I think they'll be more competitive because there's no list building restrictions. It's back to Mark II list building.
Agreed. What is your thoughts on that? Because I certainly hope it doesn't turn into Legacy.
From what I've heard, from what I've heard from some people that are on WTC teams, I think there's going to be a push to get at least like the high end play be unlimited.
Really?
Interesting.
Just so there's more options, but who knows? Like,
right?
Because I know there's some people that want to continue playing the factions they've been playing,
for sure,
like Circle and Legion, and they know they can't compete. So, I mean, we're talking like a high-end tournament level. I think like if you're just playing a random game, like you're not going to like auto lose by bringing, Circle or something.
Yeah, I mean, what JVM did great all weekend with Bags 2, and like he probably dropped a few games. That I think Crix did good too. The eventual winner was playing, well, not to spoil anything, but the eventual winner was playing against Convergence. I think Convergence got 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like the top 4 were all Orkoth and
Storm Legion. And I think a lot of that too. Like, I think it comes down to like who's piloting and what happens in the games. Yeah. Like even scenarios and stuff. Like certainly means a lot for all of that stuff. But like I guess as a whole, I'm talking more so just like rule sets. Like look at the casters in Orgoth and tell me that they're balanced compared to the caster options other people get. Yeah. Like it's ridiculous.
The feats are a little wild. Like Kishtar's feat. Wolf's is kind of. It's weird what they did with Wolf, but Athena's feat is also kind of wild. Yeah. But Kishtar's feat, man, like you cannot get within. I don't know. She has the fact that she can like bring the unit of Arcanist to pump all her jacks, so then she can spend her stack on doing Redline and not Fire for Effect. What's the one that increases range on all her jacks? That's the one she has. Or they take it in their rack, I think. One of them's in the rack.
Oh, Snipe?
No, it's for everyone. The whole group gets +2 range. I think it's a Sloan has it. Or had it.
Wait, what?
Open Fire?
That sounds
familiar. I think it gets +2 range to all of your jacks. Don't quote me, but
don't quote me. Let's
loading up my
up until what, like a week or two, or maybe
I'll try to
a week or two before, they had Phantom Hunter too in their in their rack.
Don't get me started on Ghost Bullets.
So I bought 2 starter boxes in the Gen Con box, so I had like 3 of each jack, 2 of each unit, and I was feeling not overwhelmed because everything looked pretty chill, but I had played 1 game in Mark IV, and it was on our channel. I got smashed.
Fire group is what you're...
Fire group, yeah. +2 range?
Yeah.
And it's not an upkeep, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so she spends like 5 a turn or something.
But it costs 2, and then it's battle group models.
Oh, only costs 2. So she doesn't even, and she has guns that she can pay to ricochet bullets into people, and she has guys that have harpoons on their arms.
Like the assassination threat is insane.
Yeah, but if you can if you have a couple shield guards, and this is why I think Convergence did so well, is if you have a couple shield guards, like it really can shut it down.
I do think too that some of the issue is not having enough other options or stuff to play or whatever. Because like, is it really any different than Lilith 4 and Mark 3 or Gunborn and Trolls in Mark 3? Like, so like other casters have had just insane assassination like threats. It's just that you had so many freaking options and lists and stuff that you were playing against at the time that like maybe it wasn't good into everything. It's just right now there's such limited options that like it just seems absurdly good. But part of that's probably just the limited options.
Yeah, it's like we're going back 15 years, like
right.
Because even like I said before, you only had one, maybe two casters for the new factions, and then old factions you're going from like 15 to 20 warcasters down to 3. So just kind of seeing the same stuff over and over and over again.
For sure. Plus the other thing for me is I like hordes and not War Machine, and like right now obviously they started with War Machine. Not that I don't think Signar and Orgoth and stuff looks okay, it's just not what I want to play. It's like until something Hordes comes out that like I'm wanting to play is where I'm just kind of at the moment.
Pirates sound really cool. I'm curious to see what the mystery army is.
Yeah.
I think the running bets right now are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Dinosaurs, Legion, Circle. Those are the ones people have been speculating on. But
I've heard Protectorate dinosaurs, essentially.
You could do something cool with that because you could have one army be Hordes based and one army be War Machine based, because it doesn't matter faction now.
Right.
The cadre would be kind of weird, but because you couldn't have.
That would be interesting.
You couldn't have like a warcaster in the cadre.
Right. Why not? Never.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, there's no distinction anymore. It's just.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
But the way I see Zoo now is like I get the what was that in Magic? The what was that plane? Ixalan. I get Ixalan vibes, like the dinosaurs
and dinosaurs.
Yeah, the conquistadors.
Vampire. Yeah,
I'm getting those vibes.
It's kind of cool.
But we'll see. I feel like I don't know if like. I feel like they want to do one existing faction, like existing, and then like one like brand new one. And I don't know where Brine Blood Marauders sits, because it's technically on one hand it's old, but on one hand it's new. So
yeah, it's kind of like a refurbished one.
Yeah,
get your brand new used thing off Amazon.
Yeah,
I'm here for everyone. Everyone that seems to think that it looks cool, and it will be good. So I'm here for Trolls.
You can't have War Machine without pirates. It's like
right.
I hadn't played a single game of Storm Legion. Played one game, Mark IV, and I just sat down like first game, kind of felt overwhelmed, and it was not close.
Right.
Played into Retribution, and they had to back everything off the table. Like, and I almost went 5-0 bottom of 2. Went 3-0 and jammed with all my models playing Wolf, and he was like, he can't even start killing my stuff because then my jacks are just gonna move, or so basically conceded. He went for like an assassin attempt, but it was like a long shot, like having to knock me down with Helena. And then round 2 played into Crix with I tried Athena because I did Wolf first round, and Crix was playing the Goreshade tons of jacks list, and let me tell you, the spears, I rolled insane, but the Storm Guard, not the Storm Blades, the ones with the jackhammers on the spears that charging POW 15, like absolutely crush.
It's like we laughed for a hot minute about like how well you rolled on that, but like even outside of that, so like I was walking around because I was doing some Watch Machine, And like that game looked like it was going to be pretty close. When he first came in and started killing some stuff, I was like, okay, like this is a much better game than what I saw game 1, turn 1 with Rhett. I was like, this is a decent game. So I walked around, snapped some pictures, come back, and everything's just gone. There's no cricks left on the board. And I'm like, what happened? And you're just like, yeah, I killed everything. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, I mean, I would charge a unit as Stormguard into a Seether. First one I rolled, like 66661 6. Like 6 was the location. Dropped the lowest. So like you're looking at off 3, I dealt 21 damage. But even if I don't do that, like Athena's feat is really good.
It is good. And I felt bad about that because you did roll 4 6s. And you rolled quite a bit of 5s and 6s several times in a row. And then the very next turn, I'm pretty sure it was his first attack. Like he rolls first attack, rolls trip 1s. And we're like, oh man, like that sucks. Like that feels bad.
And the crazy part is like even if like assassination was the only way out, but even then like you can't even hit Athena because I'm like, all right, add a die, drop the highest, and it's crazy how many times you miss.
Yeah,
you just can't hit. And then we got blasted by Infernal, but I got absolutely dominated by Infernal, so it was not close.
It wasn't, and I don't really know how or why. Like I watched some of that game, and like I've played Infernals, so, like I was here for that game. I don't know. I don't know how. Like I think if you could play it back, I think the matchup looks different. Like I'm not sure that you necessarily played the right way, but like I'm not sure. Like nothing died. You didn't kill anything. Like everything just kind of like kept getting plucked off, which is just really weird.
I think I killed a Tormentor. I talked to JVM a bit after that match, and he was telling me like if you feet first into Zadaroth with Athena, like you lost. So his idea was like, you know, move some jacks up, take some shots back out of because that was what was getting me was Zadaroth has that minus range, right?
Long shadows, yeah.
So he was like, you have to have the gun, like the 14-inch guns on your jacks, and put repo up on them. Because for some reason there's a repo spell on the rack. So, and then I never played deflection. I didn't take it. I should have taken deflection. I think a lot of people died to like big AoEs that I would have just survived with deflection.
Yeah, Nissia was doing like work. He had a Shrieker as well, I think, which I think is pretty decent in today's world. I didn't like it in Mark 3, but Mark 4 I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. I took like 10 shots at that Nicaea, like with boosted shots. Athena boosted shots, and I just kept missing, so it was not my game. Kill Nicaea. So but we went 2-1 and we snuck into
qualified for Masters.
Yeah. So I kind of I chilled on Saturday. I also didn't have a team, and I didn't want to like make it awkward for other people and be like, oh, you know, if you need somebody, I'm right here. Because we were talking about it. You're like, oh, don't they need a person? I'm like, yeah, but like, what do I go up to them and say, hey guys, I've played 3 games of Storm Legion. If you need somebody, you know, let me know. And then they have to be like, yeah, I guess, or then they feel awkward, right? So, which was fine. We just hung out. I wanted to watch more of your Warhammer. It was just too tough. Just like get in those tables over there.
It's pretty tight over there.
But they had it. I don't know why they had it set up long ways rather than short ways like the War Machine tables were.
Right.
I don't know if that was just space, but
I don't know. I tell you, if you were like playing in the middle of any of those runs, though, like, it was really hard. Like once people get set up and like their trays and their wheelie carts are out there and their stuff's over there, it's super hard to like get through all that stuff to get to where your table was.
Yeah. Also, we've played a handful of 40K games. The tables we played on, when we just throw terrain out, look nothing like a tournament.
Boy,
table.
Was that first experience a rough one.
That, from what I know, is standard, like ITC terrain.
Yeah, which I'm here
It's
for.
just
like
half buildings. That's it.
We adjusted, but considering I had less than 10 games total of like Warhammer in my life, and then going. Of course, I'm playing knights. Like, everything else is hiding behind stuff. They can Kool-Aid Man and just jump through walls, apparently, but my guys can't. So, like, we're used to, like, there's, like, this random stuff on the table. We just say go and start shooting each other. I get there, and I'm telling you, that first game, I think I rolled dice, like, 5 times. Like, I could never see anything. I couldn't shoot anything. I was like, this is miserable. Like, I was like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be, where I need to go. Like, I never had line of sight to anything. Like, I got stomped. He was super nice. Helped me out a lot. Like, I learned a lot. Like, overall, I'm happy with the experience. Like, obviously, game 1 was not close, but he helped me a lot. I learned some. Game 2 was much closer. Lost game 2 as well, but again, like, I did much better. I was actually competitive, shot some stuff, got into some melee. Like, we definitely learned a few things. Built on that again, and then in round 3 was able to win and be competitive. Like, round 2, like, I felt good after round 1. Like, I feel fairly confident being able to, like, take something, someone shows me stuff, I'm like, okay, like, this makes much more sense, let's execute it. And in game 2, he had less models than I did. He was just playing a bunch of Forge World tanks, and it came down to who went first, because neither one of us could hide. He won the roll to go first, and, like, shot off my big knights on turn 1 before I got to go anywhere. So, like, it just wasn't a game anymore after that. Like, I think those games are really weird. They just become a coin toss. Like, if I could have went first and, like, shot his Forge World tanks off before that he could go, then, like, it would have been a different story. So, that game I kind of chalk up to whatever. Game 3 we won. Felt good about that. Finally getting a dub. Think we played really well. And then, so that was 3 on Saturday. On Sunday, I played around 4. Technically, I lost by 7 points, but my stuff wasn't fully painted yet. So, I get, and I'm here for the painting stuff and the 10 points from GW. Like, I'm not one that complains about the painting stuff, so I'm here for it. But, like, just looking at the gameplay itself, in my mind, like, if my stuff's just fully painted, I come, like, I won the game by 3. Like, actual gameplay-wise, I won. Which I'm happy about, obviously, because, like, I'm just trying to, like, learn the game, get competitive, and that kind of stuff. So, like, technically I lost. It was 1-3. But gameplay-wise, like, I was 2-2, and I'd won the last 2, which I was excited about. And then I think by that point, Bross had lost in Masters, so he dropped. So, like,
I did.
Yeah, that was Sunday. Man. So then I dropped and didn't play round 5, and we went 8.
Yeah. But Saturday, though.
Yeah.
Saturday was really fun. Those 40K rounds.
3 hours.
Those are long rounds. Like, I was sitting, and I felt bad at the end of the night because Brian from our Discord also frequents a lot of the War Machine Facebook groups and stuff. I was like, hey, anybody want to play? I'm at CaptainCon. And I was like, yeah, me and Sean are probably going to eat after this round of 40K, which took forever. And then I was like, by the time we eat and come back, like, they want to go. So me and Brian play, like, it seems like, I don't know how long they took.
It was the rest of the night, bro. You guys clocked.
Yeah.
You guys definitely would have clocked.
It was a lot of fun. We met, like, multiple people that were fans of the podcast, even though we had not made one in a long time. But my round 2 opponent, he'd never seen our Discord, but he had watched our videos and listened to the podcast. So, Dash, what's up? How's it going? Sorry about the rolls.
Yeah, that was
truly apologize. Gave out some dice.
Yeah.
Because you had a ton of dice because of 40K.
Yep. I did. Brought my dice.
But
CaptainCon dice.
Yeah, we got some CaptainCons.
Let's
go. That's what's up.
Yeah, I gave us some dice. That was fun. I don't know what place I ended up in Masters because I died to the eventual winner. So, you know, I could have won Masters, but round 1 I lost. I lost to the Orgoth player, Emery, playing Kishtar. Started out. It's funny to say this. I started out turn 1. I think it was turn 1. Super solid. Like, he got a little too close, and I was punishing him a little bit, but left a window to die to Kishtar. So
I will say that you win Sportsmanship of the Year award though for that, because at a tournament, especially on Masters, like, and I can get blasted in the comments. I'm here for it. Don't really care. Like, I'm not pre-telling you in Masters at a CaptainCon that, like, I'm gonna shield guard this before you do this and pull this guy. Like, you learn the hard way. Like, I'm not saying you hide it and never tell him and try to gotcha, but like once it's out there, like you're just like, oh, like I shield guard this, and then he changes his order of operations and does it differently, which I would have too once you gave me that information. But like I'm not giving that information if I'm you, so.
So I would have 100% told him about shield guard. We talked about it at the beginning of the game because he asked me what's SG, because writing out the list is like slightly more painful now because you have to put your 3 jack options for everyone, but it's not bad. I noticed people started just abbreviating and you just talk about it beforehand. But I wasn't even telling him about the shield guard. I was sitting there. He shot my jack with something that was going to AoE my caster, and I was considering shield guarding that, forgetting about the harpoon gun. And when I thought about that, he was like, "Oh shoot, I need to take care of your
shield
light jack." Yeah, and his light brutal damage jackal rolling 5 dice to hit, dropping whichever 2 he wants. Wow. Dealt 15 damage to my courser. Took out, and he had to. I mean, it was 33% chance. So he had to hit either column 2 or 3, I think, to take the head out. If he doesn't, though, like he's dead. Kishtar had already moved up.
Right.
So, super dead. I mean, he probably could take out my heavy with his remaining guns, but between my rest of my army, he's super dead. But and then we just kind of phoned it in against Khador. My list was bad, but my wolf list is not. It was bad, but there's a lot of boxes to get through.
Yeah, Khador.
And we kind of. Yeah, and that was like just inexperienced. I think that's probably a not so difficult game to win if I played more games. Because I told you I was like I'm kind of over Storm Legion after those 2 games, and then I watched round 4, Steven Rabideau and I think he came in 3rd. He ended up coming in 3rd with Convergence, and I watched Steven play, and I was like, okay, hold on, I'm back in. I should have built the list differently, and wow, I should have played so much different. That was actually half the fun, was just getting to watch people way better than you play the game.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And Convergence killed it. Convergence killed it,
which is impressive.
I mean, if Kishtar is going to be running around everywhere, Lucan's like decel, high armor anyway, and gives all his jack shield guard.
Yeah.
So,
but then I feel like if you're Orgoth, you just play.
Horus.
Whatchamacallit, yeah.
I don't even remember what his feat does. I just remember you being like, "Wait, he can take off his focus to boost or rerolls."
Entire battle group. Yeah, he just has free rerolls across his whole battle group. What?
Not his feat, just the ability.
Yeah, it's a static. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was fun. Sentiment I got. So my opinion on Mark IV, it was a ton of fun. I actually I don't know if I want to say maybe preferred. I liked the unit movement personally. It gets a little weird when you got to consider like who's in melee, all that stuff. But like starting up, lining your army up, you put like a guy or 2 up front and stack the rest back. That's so much nicer.
Yeah, you don't have to consider every single model's placement to start.
Gorshade, let me tell you, he can squeeze into a spot where all he has to do is spit 1 Bane out in front of him and the rest behind him, and they're all coming at you.
Yeah.
Luckily, he must have rolled bad. Because Bane should like absolutely wreck your jacks, right?
Yeah, Bane should slap.
The one thing I like about the unit movement is it allows for like you to use weirder terrain. Because I think one of the first games of Mark IV I played, I just put like a random piece of like 40k ruins, and it just had like a door in the middle, and normally like that door would just get ignored because you're not going to funnel 10 guys like a conga line through that door.
Right.
But with the new unit movement, as long as one guy can get through, like the whole unit's just going to follow him right out. So I think it's going to help with the with more like wackier terrain setups and allow things like the like the defense tower that just came out, stuff like that,
Yes.
to see more use.
We might have pre-ordered Twin Towers on Friday
The
before
Twin
the
Tower.
sale. Yeah, they had a sale where if you bought 2, they took $10 off.
Okay. I think if War
I
Machine can get to a point to have 3D terrain, I think it helps.
Yeah.
Like just from like a visual standpoint, like it's so much nicer watching 40K than it is War Machine because like you have terrain and 3D features and all this stuff, and like War Machine's just like here's our neoprene, like so just purely like a visual like entice new players, like have it more visually appealing. Like 3D terrain would be huge.
Yeah, and like I get it for like tournaments and stuff, especially conventions where you're trying to set up,
Right.
20, 30 tables. It's so much easier just to have a like a tote, just like a plastic tote full of
3D
flat terrain.
Yeah.
Because they if you saw the way that they pack all the War Machine terrain, it's just like all of it fits in for CaptainCon. All of it fits in just one plastic box. Because it's just all flat terrain. So it is easier for events and stuff.
I will
but
say though, good.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're just playing at your game store and
right.
it definitely behooves you to at least try to mix it up. Like forests are one of those things where you definitely want 2D with maybe some movable trees on top.
Yeah. Right.
But
I think the guard tower is sweet though. I know that's such a cool the fact that it's attackable too.
And I definitely like that.
In it.
That was something there was always those rules for attacking structures, but the structures didn't exist until they added the
objectives.
Well, there was the Menoth shrine of the Lawbringer.
The well.
Yeah. There was a couple little things that they added towards the end of Mark III. But I feel like they had those rules and they never had the models to support it, and now it's kind of the other way around. So I'm hoping they bring back some of the siege weapons and stuff.
Right. I just want it streamed too. It would be nice, to your point, for something like a convention, trying to set up 40 tables of 3D terrain is difficult. But you could probably get away by having the 2D terrain everywhere and having a featured table, which is just fully 3D terrain, which is your top table. It's streamed, it looks good, it's nice, it's painted, the whole nine. That would be sweet.
Ironically, I think 2D terrain works better for stream setups.
Yeah. Or yeah.
Because it's usually very bright and defined, especially from the top down view.
For sure.
But yeah, a featured table would definitely help. And that was one of the things that I never went to a lock and load, but I remember seeing photos and videos. They used to have these giant elaborate tables. They used to have a guy. I think his name was Danny. Used to make all of their terrain. And with further infernals, I think he made this giant infernals tower that had smoke that came out of it and stuff.
That's pretty sweet. The LVO has some sick War Machine tables.
Yeah.
They're completely done up and looks good.
So I will say, even though I'm saying Storm Legion and Orgoth are insane, especially the shooting aspect of them, after talking with a few people, it sounds like the terrain we had on our board may have been lacking. If you took more consideration into the terrain when you were setting up the scenarios, it's maybe I don't know if there's anywhere to hide in the CaptainCon tables very well. I really don't remember the terrain, honestly. And definitely a factor if that's the case.
It seemed a little sparse, but shooting is so good in Mark IV with the smaller units, the better
AOEs.
workarounds for stealth. Yeah, for AOEs. AOEs are just insane.
You can snipe sprays now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the straight line thing is not near as good. It's way harder to hit a bunch of stuff with a spray now versus old school.
And there's less small base models on the table too for that.
Right.
But I think in general shooting's very good.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake not to have the a turn A gun on every striker. The POW 8 armor piercer, the railgun or whatever.
The heavy mag.
Yeah, I think it's a big mistake not to do that. Like I think talking to Steven, have a melee weapon on your other arm, whether it's the fist that can still shoot, the javelin, which is insane too, POW 15 arcing fire, and it does draws a line and does POW 10 to everything in between. Or the big AoE gun is like POW 15 AoE 10, I think. Or no, sorry, not AoE 10. Blast 10. I think it's AoE 2. But I think it's also arcing fire. So like someone like Wolf, like you just sit behind your units and you're like, I'm gonna control. You got to get up on like probably try to take a scenario presence and then say, look, I feeded, and if you start killing my dudes, you're getting like I'm gonna take all your support out, or your caster might just die soon. It was really scary. That was the game I watched, and I was like, wow. He lost, I think, on time, but I think he had all but tabled the LeComte player, which was impressive.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, anyways, Kador's kind of a next, so.
You're here for Kador? That's what you're wanting to begin with, right?
I did, and then I was kind of looking at him, and after playing all the Storm Legion stuff, I was like, is this actually good? I don't know yet. I gotta play a game. It's weird because someone explained to me right before the game started, or before the tournament started, I told them, I never played a Storm Legion game in my life, and they're like, actually, it might have been Alberto that told you. Maybe you told me this, and you were like, the new Mark IV factions just like hum, like everything goes together. Like it was like all the pieces were like built for each other. It's just true.
And that's the nice thing about the army versus theme force thing. Was like everything here is designed to work together. Especially in Mark III, building those themes, it was like you had 3 editions worth of models you're just trying to cram together into a cohesive list. And you had every warcaster and almost every warjack at your disposal. So now it's like, right now there's 3 warcasters, the 2 warjacks, like very specific pieces that fit together.
I do like that.
And one thing, I think Travis Marg replied to someone's question on Facebook. The new character jacks coming out, it is still not clear if that's going to count against the chassis FA or not.
Yeah.
Because like it's like the striker one, the general, I think is what it's called, could potentially take one of the 4 striker slots, which is kind of a feel bad, unless like Alberto suggested, unless there's potentially a jack in the cadre.
Yeah, I feel like one heavy and one light kind of seems a little boring. I think maybe having 2 chassis inside of one army might water it down a little bit, but I think putting another heavy and light chassis into the cadre would be a better solution.
Right.
Because then if they do trencher army, like you only have to worry about the one heavy, one light for that, and then you have the one that's shared. So I think it'll add a little bit more variety. But
I will say, Sean and I, we were talking, like we've talked a lot about Mark IV factions. I actually think after playing, this is only a handful of games, it didn't feel like there was just a best, you're going to take this jack loadout, which was kind of cool. Like having the options in your list was kind of nice. Like the Kishtar list is like, I want somebody that has the quad cannon, which is insane that it's volume fire with the POW 13 when every other volume fire model in the game I think is 12, but I think it's D3 plus 1 shots, or you can have the harpoon gun,
right,
or you can have the melee weapon, which I think you're probably doing more in Horus, not Kishtar. But it did seem like they kind of I saw a lot of loadouts that were a little different. Now, if you just want to fit in the cheapest jacks that are most effective, there is like a best loadout for sure.
I would agree that there seems to be a lot of variety, and depending on how you want to build the army or what you want to do, I think it does make a difference. For sure.
Now, come 3 months from now, that may not be true. I mean, there might just be like, this is what you need to run. But
yeah, I mean, there's going to be some things that are always better than others. But what I appreciate more is just the fact that, let's say like the halberd and the mag gun are the best things for the striker right now, and that's all anyone's taking. They could throw in a new caster next year, and all of a sudden a different loadout's the best one you want with that caster.
Yes.
And in previous editions, it was like, okay, like ironclads were really good with striker or whoever, but now cyclones are really good with this other guy. Now I gotta go up on 5 cyclones, and it's just like, even if you don't want to paint all the arms, it's like, okay, cool, now I want to use these arms, I'll go and paint those arms and just slap them on.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's I wish I'm glad they're doing the they made mention of the alt sculpts for the jacks, so I actually have some variety.
Yes, I think the variety is big.
Is that the sculpt that's going to come with no arms, or is there an alt sculpt that come?
They mentioned it in the same block of text, so I think they're just gonna release the current jack standalone, and then you can buy an alt sculpt with no arms. But they might do either or. If it's an online exclusive, they can do whatever. It's easy. They can do whatever they want now.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. Like, some people, even though I think they made it as easy as you can get to magnetize them, some people just really don't want to. So it's really cool. They're like, hey, for $12 or $13 or whatever, here's the heavy chassis. You can glue your model. If you buy one and want to make a couple different loadouts, you don't have to buy a whole another kit. Just buy the main body.
I will say, for traveling though, like, being able to magnetize is huge. Like, just because you bring less models, they can be whatever.
Yeah,
like, if you glued them all, like, you got to travel now with like 12 jacks because like you don't know which ones you want.
Yeah, you saw though my awful solution to traveling with all those parts.
You just have them all chucked down in a thing. You want to start one game, and you're like, oh, I don't have the right weapons on here. Sean, can you get those? And I'm like digging through bits, and I'm like, what do you need? This arm? Nope. Do you need this arm? Nope.
I'm so glad they put the pictures on the app finally. There's some obvious things, and then there's like, okay, what's the spear, and what's the halberd, and what's the
right.
Which, shout out to Emery and Masters round 1 when I told him I don't have the right weapon on. He's like, oh, just take the arm off. It's fine. But then I found it. Like, he had no problem with me just to save time. But that was funny.
I will say I'm also hoping, very hopeful, by waiting for Hordes, that we have upgraded our casting and our models on there. I will tell you, like, if you're gonna play and travel, like, you basically have to pay to travel with like a glue person. Like, I was Bross's glue man the entire weekend. Like, I don't think there was a single game where you're just not like, hey, can you get this back on there? Like, I'm gluing parts off to the side mid game because like someone looked at it too hard and his arm fell off, and I'm like, damn. That
part was rough. I actually to get to the $100 shipping, like free shipping from Privateer Press, threw some alt sculpts on there, like a couple of the banners for Signar, and like one of the. I'm just interested to see if it is a slightly different resin or not.
Well, see, I thought you got some. Didn't you get something in, or maybe it was there? Someone at some point was talking about how it was the like the darker resin or whatever that looked like the stuff the UK was getting.
Yeah.
So
that was in the newer stuff.
Yeah, because all the dust stuff was the first stuff we saw in that darker resin.
Yeah.
And that was made in the UK.
Yeah, I think their stuff has been fine from the jump.
Tried and True did that Kador unboxing, and it appeared that the whole Kador starter box was a different resin.
Nice.
And I hadn't heard that was going to be done in the UK. And if it wasn't, that's kind of hopeful that maybe Privateer Press had already. I'm sure they're like experimenting, because it really is bad and it sucks because I actually really liked playing Storm Legion.
Like, that's just straight up a deal breaker for me. Like, it takes way too much time painting and like basing, and like for me specifically, I put too much time into it. Like, there's people that paint faster than I do, but like I put way too much time and effort into it to do it and paint it up and have an army. Like, to have stuff just like breaking off randomly. If you start trying to like glue stuff back on, it doesn't work well when it's painted. If it's just gray and you haven't done anything to it, then you're fine. Like, glue it back on, we eventually spray over it. It's no big deal. But like once it's painted, like when stuff starts breaking, like that's a deal breaker for me. Cause like I put way too much time and effort into that for that.
Yeah, the breaks were all very clean though.
Agreed. Your stuff went back together pretty easy, but
it did. And I like I don't think much broke in the travel in the airplane, but like we're talking like if I have a guy like sitting here and I would accidentally like kind of hit him with my arm.
Yeah,
and it was like, I'll be honest, it had a little bit of force. Like I didn't actually just touch it. Like the sword snaps or the spear snapped.
Yeah.
And that was that was definitely rough.
Yeah,
was Athena that one round that I was like, where's the weapon at?
Yeah, and it was on the ground.
Somebody had to have knocked my Athena over on the ground, or the weapon just fell off on its own.
Yeah, it was over on the ground where you were playing previously.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
The Stormblade models seem to be kind of the biggest issue I've had.
Yeah.
Some painting 2 army boxes for a commission right now, and those are the ones that have been breaking, just because it feels like there isn't a lot of not a lot of contact point between the hilt and the hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been kind of breaking those left
while
and right.
Painting them?
Oh, while assembling, and then just like from like in the box, it was a couple. I mean, like out of the 10, I think maybe like 3 I've broken, but not from painting because that'd be ridiculous. But
yeah,
but you could dry brush, right? Like you could dry brush and break it.
Yeah, I can
theoretically,
see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. So how was your time overall at CaptainCon? You had some good videos and photos and stuff. You had fun?
Yeah. CaptainCon's like my con to hang out, so I don't do as much as I usually do. Like I don't think I even I went back and looked at the pictures, and I was like, I had like 10 good ones, and I'm like, well, I thought I took more.
My Knights made the short video. Shout out! I was like, holler.
Yeah, the TikTok. But yeah, I mean, like the CaptainCon's been around since 2014. I've been to every single one. It's like they've held it in Massachusetts a couple years, and then they moved it to Rhode Island, and it's literally like half an hour from my house. So all like there's like my group of like friends from like childhood go, and I just like everyone's a familiar face there usually.
Right.
But that
it's funny the way like when you said that, because it reminded me of when you were like, well, all my friends left and me and Sean are just sitting there like, cool. we don't count anymore. So you're a childhood friend.
Different friends.
Too good.
Yeah, but they the convention goes back technically goes back to like 2005, which is right around the time I started playing War Machine, where there's a group of essentially press gangers led by this guy Paul, and they'd put on like they were kind of like the bigger press gangers in the area back then, but I don't know exactly what prompted them to start doing it, but they started doing the New England store team tournament. So at least for the first couple of years, it was, or maybe the first 2 years, I think it was every store in New England would do a team of 2, and then they would meet out. The first one was done at my local store at the time, and it was just like for bragging rights, like who had the best War Machine players in New England. And then they made my store made their own trophy. They're like, we won, we're making a trophy. It was was made with They bought transmission gears and then put original Mark One steamroller coins like on each gear.
That's pretty cool.
And then put their name on a plaque, and then it got absconded. And they turned it into like kind of a Stanley Cup.
Cool.
So like the winning team would host the next year, and then whoever won put their name on it. And I think around like 2015 or 2016 they finally ran out of room, and they tried a couple different trophy options over the years, but yeah, it started off pretty small, and then what ended up happening was like stores closed, people moved. I remember there was a store called Danger Planet near me, and some of the people that played there were like pretty big in the War Machine scene. One of the guys who now helps run CaptainCon, he wasn't there this year, but Hacksaw, he was the one that made he got hired by Privateer Press to make War Machine Steamroller Mark II. A lot of what you play is from him and his crew, but their store closed, so they were like, well, we're going to keep playing in the team tournament. So they ended up expanding it outside into like New Jersey, because some guys from my store ended up moving down there. And then like when Mark II rolled around, it just became like a team tournament, and they ended up hosting it in like an Elks Lodge, like a bigger like event center. And by 2013 there was like almost 100 people playing in it. So they had to rent out like a ballroom in a hotel. And I believe what ended up happening, because I kind of dipped out of War Machine and like playing it regularly. When I started going to college in 2008, my store closed. I kind of was like in and out of it for like kind of every other year. But I think in 2014 they were like, hey, we're going to do it this year. We're going to do a Kickstarter, though. If we get enough money, we're just going to turn it into a 3-day convention called CaptainCon. So it was one of those things where it like naturally grew.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of people that they're like, oh, we're going to do a tabletop convention. It's just like kind of springing it out of nowhere.
It's hard. I would love to get one going in Jacksonville, but like to that point, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think starting as like an event and if that event gets big enough, then you turn it into something bigger. The other thing we used to have was this convention called TempleCon, which was at one point starting to look like the Adepticon of the East Coast. It was very large towards the end. And that, I remember the first one I went to for that was like 2007. I wasn't even old enough to get the hotel room. The owner of the game store I went to had to get the hotel room for me and my friends. But that was a little bit of everything. There was like retro gaming, like modern gaming. Like I remember in the first TempleCon I went to, I played in a Gears of War tournament. It was like a 4v4 like LAN setup.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But it got really big, and it was like the only real tabletop gaming they had for the most part was War Machine. And by like the ones I went to in 2014, 2015, like PP was there streaming. Like they had a full booth set up. I remember people used to line up in like 8 a.m. For their booth to open to buy like the web store exclusives when they were really hard to get.
Right. You can see that.
And like pins and stuff.
Yeah, I remember trying to get is it in Mark II when they did the zeros for War Machine casters? As like a con exclusive, and that sweet box with the coin I think it came with.
That was Kickstarter for the game.
What was that? What did I
I think you're thinking of the 10th anniversary box. It came with Butcher.
That
and
might
like a piece
be
of scenery. And then they did.
I just remember it was a big deal trying to get it. Like you had to have someone there or buy it on eBay.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
My favorite story was the Dire, not the Dire Troll, the Scorn Titan, the Gladiator Extreme model, was a web store exclusive, and then one day it disappeared. Like it just gone from the web store, and someone started a rumor that like the mold broke and they were never going to be able to make it again, which doesn't make any sense because if the mold breaks, you just make another mold. But Like it was going on eBay for like $200 at one point, and I remember there was, I think it was at TempleCon like 2015. Like people were lining up to try to buy that model because they wanted to flip it, and then it come to find out they discontinued it because they were transferring the package to a retail packaging so they could sell it in store, and it was like $80.
Sucks for the people about it.
But TempleCon, so TempleCon would happen same weekend, same place as CaptainCon is currently, but like 4 times as big.
Dang.
And they had, like I said, they had everything. They had if you guys wanted like those side rooms where they were doing like some of the smaller tournaments,
right?
One of those rooms was like 30 arcade machines, and another one in 2016 they had set up as like a bunch of small living rooms where they had like CRT TVs and couches and like NESs and stuff you could play.
That is pretty sweet.
They had concerts, like the rotunda where everyone was playing board games. That was actually all cleared out, and they would do a concert every night.
So like bring that back. That'd be fire.
I saw actually one year that one of my favorite musical artists they announced was there, and I'm like the only person that was excited. And it was Saturday night, and I'm like, he's getting ready to perform. This guy Megaran. Is a nerdcore rapper, and I'm literally like, I'm the only person in the crowd. I'm just like giddy, and like 3 songs in, like the place started to fill out, and by the end of the night, that whole rotunda was packed, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But what ended up happening? So what was cool was CaptainCon was in the summer, TempleCon was in the winter, and it was like every 6 months we had like a pretty big convention.
Yeah.
And then they ended up flip-flopping, and then I think TempleCon kind of got sick of running conventions, so they stopped it. But it was like the last couple of years, it was really awesome just seeing like PP there, and it's cool. But CaptainCon's always been nice because like when I tell people about it, like one of the 2 things I say is it's like a 3-day party, like it doesn't end, like they don't close up anything, like you're just as likely to play a pickup game of something at 2 a.m. as you are 2 p.m. And sometimes I call it a drinking convention with games. This year seemed a little tamer than past years, and I think it's just, people are still trying to get used to going to cons and stuff, and a lot of the familiar faces weren't there this year. But it was like one year I remember it was just, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like we were playing. I think we were playing Secret Hitler till like 5 a.m. And it was just like this rotating cast of characters. People were just like jumping in and out of games. And there was like a 40-person game of Werewolf happening in the ballroom. And yeah, it was a 3-day party with games.
They're a lot of fun. Speaking of hard to run an event and stuff like that, shout out to Zosha as well. CaptainCon was fire.
Yeah, and Seth as well.
Seth helped run as well. Run a fantastic event. Like everything was right on time. Like don't play around. Like stuff going in, starting on time. Like rotating on time. Like super well ran and set up.
She's very, very well organized.
Yeah, it was great from that standpoint.
Yeah, I don't think good TOs don't get enough appreciation because it doesn't take much for things to go south quick.
Agree, and I think they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed, we are a little over an hour. I don't know that we can get off this podcast without talking about Saturday night for Ross over there.
Listen, did we not drink the same amount?
Probably close, yeah. But it was so Friday night we started to drink. It was Friday night we ordered it, right? We're like, we need to drink. We're at CaptainCon, we want to drink. Whatever. So we found a place. We didn't have a car. So by the time you like Ubered somewhere for $14, bought something, Ubered back for like $14, like you spent a ton of money. So we're like, we were trying to find an ordering place. We found, I don't remember who it was, Grubhub.
Uber Eats. Turns out, I did it through
shout out
Uber Eats, but it turns out Drizzly is the delivery service for alcohol.
That's what we should use. Shout out to Uber Eats though, because they did do it. So they went and got some at the airport and brought it back to us.
But not shout out to the guy for making me come out to his car.
It was like -2.
It was -1. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy like cracks the window. It's like, here you go. Ross has to go outside to get it.
Short sleeves.
That was rough.
It It got a negative 20 something at one point during that weekend.
Holy cow.
It went from negative 22 Saturday night, I think, to 45 degrees Thursday afternoon when I left. It was like a 60-degree swing. And that wasn't including the wind chill, because I think it got to almost negative 40 with the wind chill. It was crazy.
It was cold.
Yeah, so Sean had filled up, like, we were using orange juice bottles and water bottles, making like vodka drinks, and I was playing the game with Brian, and by the end of it I had 4 of the, so like 2 of them were water bottles. I don't know how big those were, but the other 2 were the orange juice bottles, like the Tropicana,
like little single serve ones. Don't make people think you're drinking containers.
Yeah,
like little single
got,
serve orange juice ones. Like you have people thinking you had like a Tropicana, like
no, it was, you know, like this, right?
Yeah.
But God, I felt like, you know, I was just feeling good, but I felt all right there. We got to the restaurant at midnight, and I think you said like we sat there 20 minutes. I don't really remember 20 minutes there.
Like I had to help you get to that restaurant. So Friday we tried to drink, and it just didn't happen. We drank a little bit, and then like we lost the buzz because we ate, and then like I was watching 40K. You guys were playing Riot Quest, so it kind of fell off. Then Saturday, I was like,
I was a little buzzed in Riot Quest.
I was like, do you want to drink? I was like, I don't care about my Sunday for 40K. Like I'm 1 and 2, so who cares? I was like, you're in Masters though, so like if you don't want to, like I'm down. Whatever. He's like, oh, I don't care. He's like, let's do it.
Well, I told you my superpower.
Yeah, you do have a superpower. You not get sick or hungover the next day, which is wild.
Yeah.
But like you were that game with Brian, you were definitely definitely feeling it. We had to help you to the room afterwards. We were doing some sobriety tests down the hallway up by the stairs.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I just remember
It was a lot of fun.
I didn't hear you like trying to call my phone because you were locked out of the room. But when you opened the door, I was like, "Hello!" Like I thought someone had just come in our room, right?
Yeah, I was trying to wake you up because we ordered Taco Bell, so I had to go get the Taco Bell from downstairs. I couldn't get in because I couldn't find my key.
Shout out to that lady downstairs at the desk.
Yep, Ross kept me from fighting the lady downstairs at the desk. I was so mad.
Okay, so we get back up there. This is Sunday, like evening.
Yeah.
And we get back up to the room, completely separate from the drinking. It kind of ended after the Taco Bell, which I forced a quesadilla down at 1:30, laying in the bed, breathing heavily the whole time. But Sunday evening, we're going up to the room, and I don't have my key. It's in the room. Sean goes to use his, doesn't work. He goes downstairs.
The guy next to us shows up and tries to use it, doesn't work. Like the whole like floor is like not working for some reason.
He goes downstairs, calls me. He's like, "Bro, come down here." And she's like, "Oh, I'm calling him." He's like, "Okay, fine, she's calling you." And I text him like, "Dude, the phone is ringing in the room. Is she calling the room?"
I was mad because like, so this is where, and I had to explain myself because Brandon was like, "Why are you mad? Like that seems like an okay policy." And in hindsight, he should have just went down because the room was in his name. But it's whatever. Like I had the key. I went down. I was like, "Hey, like keys up there aren't working, or whatever." I wasn't on the room. She's like, he's gonna have to come down here. I was like, fine. So like, I go to get him, and I wasn't like mad about that. Like he's on the room. It's policy. It's whatever. Like it's cool. I don't care. But, like she was like kind of making it seem like, why are you like trying to get this person's room? Like you're not on. Like I was trying to like break into someone's room or something. So then when she was like, I can just call him, and I text you, I was like, never mind. She's gonna call you because I'm on the phone with him. I hang up, and then she's calling. It's ringing. It's ringing. I'm on the phone with him. He's like, it's ringing in the room. She looks at me and she was like, he's not answering it. And I was like, are you calling the room? And she's like, yes. I was like, if he was in the fucking room, I could have gotten in the room. Like, why are you calling inside the room? Clearly we're locked out. But it was like the way she said it, where she was like, he's not in, like, gotcha, like, he's not picking up the room. And I'm like, whew. Yeah, Bros had to calm me down. I was like,
dude, why are you so upset? And he's like, he told me the story. I was like, ah.
Yeah, she was like, come, like, got you. Like, I was trying to break into someone's room.
So we joked that I should have called down later and been like, someone took all the stuff out of our room.
That would have been funny.
That reminds me a little bit of, it was TempleCon one year. We lucked out and got rooms on the first floor. Like, you know where the elevators were?
Yeah.
Dang.
Like if you just walk straight there, there's rooms right there. It was amazing. But the con was so packed with like vendors and stuff that they let vendors like vend out of their rooms and they did those rooms the first few rooms in that block.
Right.
But they TempleCon was like way stricter about like actually having your badge out and showing it to like people that were working the con. And I remember I was just trying to get back to my room, and I had to walk by all of these vendor rooms, and somebody stopped me, and they're like, "Oh, you can't come back here." I'm like, "Wait, why?" And they're like, "Well, you don't have a badge." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm going to my room." I'm like, "Well, this is part of the convention. You need your badge." I was like, "It's in my room. I just went out to get food."
Right.
And they're like, "Yeah, but," I was like, "I'm gonna walk around you and go to my room." Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. You shout out to the boneless chicken wings at Crossings.
Oh yeah,
That place
slaps.
That we every year, like, it's expensive to do it all 3 nights if you're there for 3 nights. Like, but
unless you get boneless chicken, which are apparently 6 full-on chicken tenders.
I'm actually sad the other bar wasn't open. It's the same food. It's
right across
it all comes from
the way.
Yeah, the fancy looking one,
the lounge or whatever,
the Alfred's Lounge or whatever. Because that's where I usually go eat. Because they have it's fancier. Again, same food. It just all comes out of the same kitchen, so that doesn't matter. But like there's like this little back area where it's like a little library looking thing with a fireplace and a bunch of leather chairs with like a coffee table. So me and my friends, when we would always get dinner there on Friday night, and we'd always just sit at the little fancy corner.
We ate there 3 nights, I think.
It was pretty cheap.
Three times. Like, considering
if you just got the appetizer tendies.
Yeah, so like I would get the pizza, it was like 14, and the tendies were 11.
The pizza and the sandwiches are a good deal. It's when you get like a
the pasta was like 28 and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I got expensive.
And then Friday night, we ordered a couple drinks, and Sean's like, "Dude, this bill is gonna be crazy," and they were like 6 something.
Yeah, we were guessing before, and I was like 13 probably. Like you're in a hotel, like you're at the thing. It's gonna be expensive.
Where else are you gonna go?
Right. That's what we were talking about the food too. The first time we sat
-20
down, because he orders boneless wings off the appetizer menu.
Yeah.
And we were like joking. We're like, oh, like what are we gonna Grubhub when we leave here after they bring us like our 4 boneless wings for like $18 or whatever? And we're talking, and she shows up with a plate with like 6 full-size like tenders on there, and me and Brandon are like, what?
Yeah, I was not sick, but I was like, dude, I can't finish this.
Yeah, it was crazy. The place was really good.
Yeah, shout out to Crossings. Also, the drinks to me felt like they were doubles, but it could have just been because.
And they're for $6, like.
And I could have been because I don't drink. I haven't drank as much like
reasonable
in the past year, but it was a good time.
It was
good event. I hope 2024 is like. I hope you're right. I hope Privateer Press makes it through 2023, and 2024 pops off. I actually think. I don't want to just say it. I actually think the game though is potentially more fun. I think the game was in a really good place at the end of Mark III. Like the armies all felt great, but I really think playing this new style is very fun.
Mark III felt like the best version of Mark I. Mark IV feels like something like an evolution.
Yes, and I like it.
Where Mark II and Mark III felt like, okay, we're refining this thing that we made in 2003. And now they've looked at like the rest of the industry, and they've looked at like things that work for other games and kind of started pulling them all in, like the movement system from like Star Wars Legion, and getting rid of the facings and making the units smaller. It feels more like a reboot, and like I said, I think for a lot of people, because there was usually there's a lot of people that travel for CaptainCon, but it is a little tough because it's often the weekend of or the weekend after LVO. So there are some crazy
part for us. Last year we went to LVO, and we've already talked. Like, I really like Vegas. I'm a big Vegas person, so like I would rather go to LVO over CaptainCon, like just because I enjoy being in Vegas. Like I wish they were further apart. I'd want to go to both.
Yeah.
So like next year, like I don't know, there's a good chance I end up back at LVO and not CaptainCon, but like it does suck that they're that close.
Yeah, there was and I don't think there was a lot of people at LVO that weren't at CaptainCon,
right.
and they're usually because because Rhode Island's like relatively close to Canada. Usually we get like a big Canadian crowd there, and I think, I think it's just like, I know the edition is out, like the app officially launches like tomorrow or whenever, like they take it offline and put it back out. But I don't think it's ready for prime time until we get 5-6 factions going, because
you need more options.
And it's, especially if you're a new player, like I'm not going to recommend you go out and buy a legacy army if you're new, regardless of how powerful it is. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
It's so nice. Those packages are so nice. I haven't got to talk about it on the podcast. I love. Well, I was gonna see if I grab one. I love the starter boxes.
Yeah, I mean, like,
a lot of people just like, I don't know. It's just build. You're ready to go, right?
Yeah, you just buy it. You put it together. Like you can put it on the table and like,
nice.
Like half of it you don't have to build. Like the Warjacks, like it's just the arms. Like if you want to buy that at the game store and put everything on bases, like it's right there for you. And
sweet.
People have been comparing it to like other starter sets, but for other games. But like the Combat Patrol boxes for 40k are like 160, and they're better value, but you can't build that and put it on the table and expect to play a game of 40k.
Not at 2,000 points.
I mean, they're especially like the Cadian one, like that barely even covers like one of your like requisites. And even looking at something like Star Wars Legion, like they have like $150 like army box, but it doesn't come with the proprietary dice that you need. It doesn't come with the proprietary measuring sticks and other paper that you need to buy. So I think the best thing they did with this edition, honestly, was making the app free.
Yes.
Because it was fine in Mark II where you had options. It was like, okay, you can get the cards, but they might be out of date. But like whatever, like you can, if you want to learn how to play, it's fine.
Right.
But you're better off in the long run probably using War Room. And then in Mark III, it was like, well, the cards are kind of useless because we're changing things every week. So we're going to get rid of the cards, but you still have to pay for the app.
And the app wasn't cheap. Of course, you could have just bought your faction, but like trying to get a new person in, it's just like, hey, like all you have to do is buy this. Like I think it was like $100, something like that, for the full faction.
$100 for full access, which in the long run, like isn't bad. Like in 40k still charges like $40-50 for a codex, and you often need multiple these days. And they charge you for points updates now. And even nowadays, they have an app that you have to pay monthly for, and you still have to buy the codex on top of that.
Also, not to. I actually have been enjoying 40k, but the app is like it's all the armies don't work.
It's
like
janky.
I couldn't build Imperial Knights in their app. That was rough.
It's janky. They don't update it very often,
which is surprising for a billion-dollar company. Very surprising.
Yeah,
like Battlescribe's just better.
But it was tough to be like, okay, like you just bought this army, now you can't even play it until you buy like download this app and or print out the cards. But even the cards like printed out in like a weird format.
Right play.
Yeah,
sure.
When somebody had tipped me off to it like pretty early that they were making the app free, and I was like, finally, it's just so much easier. And even like my friends who, like some of them started playing War Machine with back in like 2005, 2006, and a couple of them want to get back into it, and it's been nice for them because like when they're at work or something, they have some downtime. They've been downloading the app and looking at armies, and now they've been reading the fiction that's on there for free, which has been pretty cool.
Agree.
But
great way to monetize the app also.
Yeah,
but essentially putting no quarter in the app. Great.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what other fiction they do. The fact that they're gonna start doing like profiles and stuff for the new characters is really neat.
All right, boys. We could probably talk War Machine the rest of the night. We're going on like an hour and 20 minutes, though. We're going to have to cut the podcast off at some point. Anyone have any shout-outs? Shout-outs to Alberto. Thank you for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Where do we find you? What do you want
to... just about every social media platform is at the GlitchyBit, and my website is glitchybitstudio.com for all of your commission painting needs.
Check them out on YouTube.
Yep.
Has some
Yeah,
CaptainCon footage on there?
Yeah, I've been trying to go to conventions and do like little like almost like music like montage videos.
Yep.
People seem to enjoy them.
I'll put some of the I'll put your YouTube CaptainCon link on there on the video.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to customer of size policy at Southwest. Am I right?
Oh man, dang, we didn't even talk about that. We're out of time too. So nice flying. That in Southwest, we'll follow up on that and talk about next time because that is a blast. Dash, shout out to Dash. Played some games, played in the tournament with him, saw him there. Zosha, fantastic event. JVM, Brandon asked like 6 million questions to JVM for advice. Fantastic.
Good. JVM can talk all day. Like you have to shut him up sometimes.
Steve, Boba Life from our Discord.
Oh yes,
Hung out with him
Boba
quite a
Life,
bit.
fantastic YouTube video. I showed it to my girlfriend, by the way. Boba, if you watch this, we talked about it. Showed the whole story about how you got your name Boba, and showed her the Boba Life YouTube video. It went fantastic.
Brian had a great time losing.
Yeah, sorry, Ross was roasted when you guys played, but that was a lot of fun. I gotta look at that video. I'll be honest, I haven't even watched that video, Brian, since we left there. I gotta watch it, see what it looks like. Cause I took some videos while we were a little toasted, and I told you we'd throw them up and shout you out on there. It's like I'll take a look at the videos. I don't know if they make it, but I'll try. See if we can edit that up and throw some of that up on this as well. But yes, it was a blast. CaptainCon was great. We got to meet Alberto in person, which was fantastic. Hang out a little bit. We had a good time, and hopefully we can all get together at another convention here soon at some point.
Yeah, man. Sick.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. If you guys are still here, we appreciate it. Give us that thumbs up and that like. We haven't put out a ton of content. We'll try to put out some more podcasts. Life's just been crazy. Stuff going on. Mark 4 coming out, lives, everything else. But we do appreciate it. It was fun seeing you guys at CaptainCon, and we'll catch you next time. Later.
Peace.
Lit. Shout out to Brian for reaching out to Discord, being like, who wants to play? I'm like, hey, I can play after dinner. We skipped dinner. We're still going.
I'm not happy about that because I played in the Warhammer event all day. They're happy about that.
Okay, but Crossing closes at 1. Shout out.
We're still going to eat.
How have you been to Crossings? Get the boneless wings. They're not boneless wings.
Eight attendees for boneless wings.
$11.
Also, look who's next to us. Trident Tree? Is that Andy from Trident Tree?
Andy from Trident.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Because you're a valued,
I'm about to make a
valued member of the Warjack community.
I am making.
What's the POW?
POW is
Is he the so 14?
Lord Charter.
Off 3?
Yeah, he's 12.
Off 3.
And only 11 boxes.
14 kills.
Charge or just a regular charge?
14, my man.
No.